Welcome back to Wook Plus Mornings. I am the Great Went. We have Dead and Company wrapping week 6, the final week of their 2025 Dead Forever residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Plus, a look at what the Bard has been up to on Outlaw Fest with several setlist shakeups. Let's do this.
What's up, Don? What's going on in here?
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
We interrupt this program to bring you a news bulletin.
Check it out.
Wook Plus Mornings.
We're all about the set list, ready to praise, ready to complain. Dead and Company have had a few surprises this run, mixing Dead classics, new to Dead and Company covers, and some unexpected twist along the way. If it's your first time here, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's jump right in with night 16. They opened ready to do business with Let the Good Times Roll, the Sam Cooke classic that entered the Dead lexicon in the Brent years before doing the Vegas appropriate Shakedown Street. Solid version. Still on the fence about the Shake It Down part they added, but at least they're willing to try something different. And they seem to like it since it's stuck around for years now. Then set one had a, for me, strange placement of a standalone Uncle John's Band for the third song, followed by more standard first set fare and Friend of the Devil. Next came a Mayer sung Lay Down Sally, the second time this run. It was short with a tight solo from Mayer, and for me, both an obvious and odd cover choice. Clapton is an obvious pull for Mayer when looking at Jerry's cover catalog. I guess it seemed like they said, let's expand the pool of possible songs a bit, and then chose covers that weren't even the best of the Garcia bands. I mean, could we get a Shining Star or a Don't Let Go? Even better, if you want to do Jerry band tunes, Cats, Ruben and Cerise. Anyway, Terrapin Station closed the first set in what has been another, for me, head-scratching setlist choice this run, but it gave everyone a moment to shine. Set 2 kicked off with strong versions of Bertha and Jack Straw, and then we got the classic China Ryder combo, with Ryder probably the star of the night, clocking in at over 15 minutes, giving Bobby and company a chance to ride a few peaks before easing into He's Gone. And that set up the heart of the improvisational journey of the show with drums in space, courtesy of Mickey Hart's Cosmic Playground. They brought things back to earth with a gorgeous Standing on the Moon before closing the set with Brown Eyed Women and Hell in a Bucket. 2 first set songs. The emotional closer broke down, wrapped the second set, and they capped off the night with Love Light. Now, I don't know if we're going to call these, if they're calling them encores, because they show the little clip. They do the opening song, show a clip, do the whole show, show another clip, and then do one more song, this time Love Light. Is that an encore? They never leave the stage. We'll see. All right. There we go. The next night, the penultimate show of the run, offered Bob Dylan's When I Paint My Masterpiece, making its first 2025 appearance and first time opening his set. Next up, Playing in the Band, and the first chance for some exploration. Sadly, just as it was taking off, Weir pulled it back in for a smooth, Mayer-led Althea. Yeah. And we got a Music Never Stop, Love Each Other, New Speedway deal. Deal, another perfect choice for Vegas, obviously. The gambling metaphors just run thick with the Grateful Dead and a lot of their, mythos. And so that was nice. Second set kicked off with a surprise. The debut of I Fought the Law, sung by Weir. It's a Bobby Fuller 4, I guess, is the people who made him most famous. The best version, of course, is The Clash's. And I don't know that we really needed this, but the song was covered by the Dead in 94, 95, maybe 93, 94, 95, maybe even 92. I don't know. When was that Richfield show when it snowed and they canceled the first night? I think that was the first time they busted it out the second night. They had a big list of covers. I mean, Give Me Some Lovin', Broken Arrow, Tangled Up in Blue. It says to me that they want to dig deeper, but sometimes the choices they pick are just, it's like they're going for the low-hanging fruit instead of trying to find something deeper. Then we get into the meat of the show, which is a fantastic run from Dark Star through Stella. About 10 minutes in, O'Teal takes over, gradually morphing the song into a Spanish jam tease kind of thing before giving way to Saint Stephen. I feel like if you're going to do Dark Star Saint Stephen, you need to do an 11, but that's a whole nother story. Stephen has been a workhorse this run, providing some of the band's most interesting improv spaces. The energy surge during Sugaree, which for me really is Mayer's song more than Althea is, I guess. Hart Lane and Burbridge did their thing, steering the rhythm ship into space before they brought it back down for the closing sequence with probably Garcia and Hunter's most affecting ballad. I mean, Stella Blue is just beautiful. The metaphor in it. If you don't know, Stella guitars were sold in the Sears catalog back in the 20s and 30s, and a lot of people in rural areas of the South bought them. So the cleaning the strings off and all that, Stella isn't a girl, Stella's the guitar. Anyway, another story. Then came Cold Rain and Snow, another weird spot for me for what was one of Jerry's favorite openers. Before Morning Dew brought things full circle with a return to the band's origins in San Francisco with the video, and they stood there and then played Midnight Hour. A really spectacular run there. That second set is definitely one that you want to pull out. Saturday night was the final night of the 18 show residency, and spoiler alert, no one more Saturday night. Instead, we got a solid first set that opened with Stranger, which, along with Bucket, for me, are the most egregious of the Dead and Company's tempo changes. The slower take, I just feel like, betrays the slick city vibe from the 80s that we're invoked in olden times, instead making it plodding. I don't know. They're going to do what they're going to do, but I really wish Stranger kicked up a couple notches there. Next up was the always welcome Help Slip Franklin's. They did that every week, so we got 6 of those over the 18 shows. Set closed with a solid run of Tennessee Jed, Harder They Come, with Weir taking the lead for this was the second time they did it, and Jimmy Cliff originally, Jerry Garcia band obviously made it their own. And not to continue to harp on choices of new to Dead and Company covers, but why couldn't we have a Baba Jingo, a Banya Tree, Strange Remain in this spot? You know, show some love to those great other one tunes that just seem to disappear. Anyway, Mayer closed things out with a jacked up version of Casey Jones. The second set opened with a nod to Phil with Passenger. Then we got 2 of their hugest pairings for me. Scarlet Fire always went together. Interesting to note that the next morning, the next day, May 18th, 1980, was the 45th anniversary of Mount St. Helens, and the Dead infamously played a show in Portland that night as Mount St. Helens was continuing to erupt. So maybe it was a little nod of the hat to that. Then we get Estimated Eyes. Estimated is top 5 Grateful Dead for me. Bobby in his, preacher mode, delusions of grandeur or whatever. If you've ever seen me at a show and they do Estimated, I do my weird dance and I want, nah. Anyway, and then Eyes, which is the jewel of the set, jewel of the show at almost 18 minutes. I mean, O'Teal just... I feel like that's the one O'Teal owns. That is his vehicle, even more than Fire. So, drum space. And then we got a Looks Like Rain, which I don't know what we ever do with Looks Like Rain. I really don't mind the song. It just doesn't ever feel like it sit somewhere, because when Bobby does it early in a second set, it's like, why are you doing a slow song, Bobby? And then Out of Space probably works best out of space. I'm going to roll with that. So then we get back-to-back Dylan tunes, Tangled Up, another Jerry Garcia band staple with Weir taking the lead on, and Knockin', which is a song that in my mind is pure Jerry. And they said goodnight with Ripple. So it was really a perfect closer to the night and to the run. We will get into the whole run on Wednesday night on Live at 9 Eastern with Taper Eric, who for the past 2 years has facilitated trying to get every Dead and Company show at the Sphere recorded, since there were no streams or anything like that. And I got one more thing before we get into Outlaw Fest. Did you guys see this recent Guitar World interview with Weir and Mayer? Bobby said he'd still love to get into the studio, either to revisit the Dead's vast catalog or create new material. It's something I would still love to do. We've got our best guys on it, so we'll see. Mayer, on the other hand, was cautious, is how the article put it. But he said the same thing. I want to follow them where they want to go. Talking about Weir and Mickey Hart. The group played, 23, they said, was their final tour, not their final show. And they've done the 2 Sphere residencies, and now they've added the Golden Gate Park shows. So a studio album really maybe isn't that far off base for them to do. I mean, why don't we revisit those other songs, Bobby? One of them's Hunter. I think Bonutry is Hunter, Weir, Hart is the writing credit on it. Come on, guys. So Dead and Company have not announced the shows on August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd that are supposed to take part in Golden Gate Park for the 60th anniversary of the Grateful Dead. But San Francisco Rec and Park Commission approved the permit last Thursday following the announcement by the mayor. And the shows are going to be co-produced by Another Planet Entertainment and Live Nation, apparently. And a formal announcement should be coming soon. All right. Let's talk Dylan. I've been a Dylan guy for many, many years, since I first discovered him at 15 or something like that. And 4 shows in, Dylan is really keeping us on our toes. Opening night of the Outlaw Festival in Phoenix. Dylan he's 83 years old. He commands the stage like no one else. He kicked the night off with I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, followed by It Ain't Me, Babe. So if you're a casual Dylan fan, you probably know those two, and you're like, this is great. Dylan even picked up the guitar for It Ain't Me, Babe, apparently. Then we get a few songs that hadn't been performed in a while. Forgetful Heart, last heard 2015, To Ramona, which is one of Dylan's most incredible ballads. I mean, we could talk for hours about that album, Another Side of Bob Dylan, and how he did the 180 and turned his back on folk music almost with that. But just an incredibly beautiful song. So I'm very glad that popped up, and it's shown up at every show since then. So got a couple covers, debuts with Axe in the Wind, which is by a guy named George Butler, and a Route 66, the Bobby Troop classic that Dylan hadn't played since 86. You got another live debut with I'll Make It Up to You, the Charlie Rich tune, and it's really compelling to me the way Dylan honors his influences, that he is so comfortable in himself that he's Bob Dylan and has a catalog that he could play 10 shows. He could outdo Fish. He could do 20 shows and not repeat something, and you would love every one of the songs that he chooses to do the covers, because he's doing it, I guess, for himself there as much as anything. He also broke out Tambourine Man, first time since 2010, which If you're there, you are absolutely loving that. We got Under the Red Sky, which made its first appearance. Its bust out was last year during the Outlaw Fest. We got the Scarlet Town, which is the only one of the year. And then Dylan busted out another cover, The Pogues, A Rainy Night in Soho, which perfectly, I think, captures the spirit of living in the moment. You know, you aren't clinging to the past, you aren't dreaming of the future. Dylan is right there. Absolutely fantastic. It just, like I said, it's just hearing and seeing Dylan is a reminder of what a masterful storyteller and performer he is, even into his 80s. All right, the next show was 2 nights later. Dylan hit the stage at around 8 o'clock, and he opened up with Things Have Changed, which hasn't been around since it used to be in regular rotation, and it disappeared in 2019. It also was a different opener than Phoenix, followed by Simple Twist, which was a different second tune. That's fantastic. Simple Twist of Fate, such an incredible song. We got another Forgetful Heart, Axe the Wind. But then instead of Route 66, he busted out Early Roman Kings. More of the covers that he busted out before. Then we get It Takes a Lot to Laugh, Train to Cry, Desolation Row, Lovesick Run that just is fantastic. Boom. Then 8 years, Lonesome Day Blues makes its first appearance. Then a live debut of Share Your Love With Me, which is a Bobby Blue Bland tune. You might know him from Love Light. Then we get Blind Willie McTell after an 8-year absence. Now, let me just say that I have never understood the Infidels album. The fact that Blind Willie McTell, just another ballad of Dylan's, that's the depth of it just runs so deep, was left on the cutting room for what? Union Sundown, Neighborhood Bully. I mean, Foot of Pride should have been on there. Blind Willie McTell should have been on there. And then we get the best part. I absolutely love that Dylan busted out Ricky Nelson's Garden Party for the encore. It's probably the first time that he's ever covered a song that directly references himself in its lyrics. But the message of the song, just like most of the covers and what he's done, is you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. It's the living in the moment thing. I'm just so excited to see what the rest of this leg and the other legs of this tour are going to be, because he's on all 36 8 shows with Willie, so he's doing the whole tour. Friday night we hit LA. It's LA. There's some recordings, there's some videos up of the Willie Nelson part of it if you want to see that. But we got Things Have Changed, Simple Twist. It basically ran through a very similar set list to the night before. Is all I can say about that. I will say that the Watchtowers now are much more like the original version on John Wesley Harding than what Dylan did with it after he heard Hendrix do it. So that's interesting. It's a little happier, I guess, is the best way to look at it. If that song could be happy. Another Share Your Love With Me. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. I guess it's been closed every set. Saw a little bit of Willie's from this night. Whiskey River, Mama Don't Let Your Baby Grow Up to Be Cowboy, Bloody Mary Morning. I mean, just the list goes on and on with that guy. I feel like Willie's the only person you're putting in the ring with Dylan that can go toe-to-toe with him for sheer number of songs written that have ended up in the lexicon, the American Songbook. I mean, just such incredible, incredible stuff. All right, the last night, again, not much different, where we've gotten a little bit into a pattern, but we did get it Till I Fell in Love with You. So it was the first one since 2015. We also didn't get A lot to laugh. It appeared at the first 3 nights. So over the first 4 shows, Dylan has played 6 of his songs he hasn't performed in 5+ years and covered 6 songs by other people he hasn't performed ever. Altogether, 10 new songs were added between nights 1 and 2. So you should probably go check the Outlaw Fest out if you can. Tomorrow, it rolls into Fort Idaho Center Amphitheater. The 22nd, it's in Spokane at One Spokane Stadium. The 24th, it hits Ridgefield, Washington, Cascades Amphitheater, and they're adding Lake Street Dive to the lineup. And then on the 25th, it's at the Gorge. Go out to the Gorge, Quincy, Washington, with the same lineup as Ridgefield. And that will wrap up leg 1. And that should wrap things up for this morning. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Consider becoming a member for access to exclusive content and community hangs. We're out there on all the major social media platforms if you need more between shows. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. We'll see you soon.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.